less in the queue. That actually has helped fourth jungle and her clear. It's faster now after the changes. So I think you're right, Grapes. They're going to play around with the flex here, but I actually expect this to just default to Aki. That said, as we cruise throughout the draft, OMG getting their hands on Varus on red side, and then Ambessa. We've seen a lot of Ambessa get played so far in this tournament. Of course, something that is flexible with Linfeng, who has showed he can play it mid as well. So OMG have a lot of flexibility there between the Varus with the poke and DPS build, then Ambessa that can be played by the top laners or mid laner of OMG.
We'll see what the response is here now for NIP. Vi hover would signify that maybe that just goes towards Shanji up in the top lane. Gwen being able to maybe shred through that Ambessa a little bit if it does go top lane. So that's actually just going to be the selection here. And if this Galio comes through, that opens up a really powerful engage in the mid jungle. You send the Vi ult in and the Galio up comes on top of it. That's a lot of crowd control in what will be hopefully a very good 5v5 team fighting composition here for Ninjas and Pyjamas.
Yeah, now I'm just curious, do we see that Ambessa actually put mid to try and find a better matchup into the Gwen? A real choice that OMG has here. If not, those matchups could get narrowed, of course. It could just lock in a jungler and keep that Ambessa flex for the next phase of draft. As, okay, actually going to be a Corki. So that Ambessa going to go into the Gwen. They're okay with that. Marksman in the mid lane, likely now going to be the poke Varus. A lot of scaling, though, showing for OMG, whereas NIP with that Vi Galio, of course, Gwen could be late game insurance, but Vi Galio, you get those ults, you want to make plays.
And that's what Doinby likes to do, as we have continued to allude to as we get into the second phase of bans. NIP still need that full bot lane support available still on it needs to be selected for OMG, as well as most likely a jungler going over Ezreal. Things like the Jhin and the Ashe have also been very popular. A lot of these utility marksmen that I think somebody like Leave does pretty well on, but still a lot of different options on the table there as well.
I think a Jhin, like MF, Jhin are kind of where I'm looking towards right now if I am NIP. I think OMG actually getting rid of Jhin, it would leave NIP at a pretty low damage. So actually going to go attack the support pool. Maybe trying to set up for something like a Leona for OMG. Like Nautilus is something where against Leona you have some interactions with the Zenith Blade. You can take her out, and I really like the Zyra band here. NIP just took away the two strongest magic damage junglers they felt like were left on the table. So I feel like NIP got a lot of mileage out of their two bans there, whereas OMG, I just don't feel like they're really denied any bot lane options or actual like picks from NIP. It feels more like they were trying to set something up, but just going to be the Sejuani likely locked in here in the jungle, and then NIP, of course, have to sign their bot lane.
And so this actually leaves Moham the opportunity in the bot lane for OMG, actually in particular, to really pick, have a lot of different opportunities, a lot of different options on that R5, because you can either opt into that poke Varus build or the on-hit Varus build, right? And maybe that results in a more high range support coming in if things go well, or if that seems like a good matchup here, depending on what Leave and ppgod want to select. There's that Jhin that we were talking about, a champion that Leave has been successful on throughout the years. We'll see what this final pickup ends up being. There's a lot of different options that you can go, but I think another form of engage probably would be good, just because it's a little bit reliant on ultimates right now from Aki and Doinby. The Alistar would be a decent fit.
I do have to say, I think NIP is a little bit low damage here. Yeah. A lot is going to ride on the Gwen, and Jhin doesn't get through tanks, as we do see ppgod with that Alistar lock-in. I mean, look, Moham, his rel is up. I'm a little bit surprised to see him not grab it. Actually, going to be a Renata. That hostile takeover could be really big against the dive, and that signals to me it might be actually two on-hit marksmen for both Linfeng and Starry. Of course, could still see the poke of Varus from Starry, but Renata, the W is an attack speed steroid. Usually when we see this, it's paired up with on-hit Varus, and if that's the case, OMG, it's all about the scaling, whereas NIP, they got to make plays early to break this.
And while it is, you know, about the early game for NIP, on the other side, I'm looking particularly at Linfeng in this laning phase on the Corki. It's an advantageous matchup. You can use that Gatling gun to get a lot of both wave clear as well as armor shred onto Doinby to try to push him out of that lane, because if he's not able to make plays in these side lanes over the first couple of levels, that really stifles what Ninjas in Pyjamas wants to do. So we highlighted this mid lane matchup coming in early, and so if Linfeng can take advantage of that, maybe get some help from Heng in the jungle on the Sejuani, I think that is where OMG have the opportunity to make that upset happen. They have the scaling. It's going to be actually on NIP, the team that we consider the favorites here, to, you know, be the ones to push the initiative and to make these plays.
I mean, there's so much setup too for Doinby to go off of. Of course, Vi Galio, pretty easy point and click. If you need direction, I mean, whenever I see that combo, I always think back to the Broxo Pobelter, Bud Light Ace, CLG, where the pre-Bud Light Ace, they were able to play this combo to perfection, and then you throw the Alistar in there as well. The nice part is that Gwen, the Shroud, of course, going to get a lot of mileage against Corki and Varus, but it really is on that Gwen Vi to get through the front line so that Jhin can be useful, because he wants to try and attack that back line. Not going to do a great job getting through that Sejuani and Bess off the bat. So definitely a couple different factors at play, and we'll see how these drafts pan out as we're on the Rift Grapes.
Here we go. The first game of Group C in the LPL 2025 Split 2 placement matches. We've got 6 games here as we work through these 4 final teams who have not yet played here since the, that infamous first stand tournament, where it didn't go too well for the LPL if you're a fan of top esports. So we'll be seeing them later today, but first we'll be seeing these 2 teams who will eventually have to go on to face them as well. Quick look around the Rift. Again, no lane swap, so we'll get relatively normal League of Legends to start this off, which I'm pretty happy about.
Actually quite surprised to see on the graphic that the double marksman comp has less odds of winning late against NIP. Was not expecting to see that one. I still favor the double marksman. It is going to be on hit for the Varus as we get a look at the setups. And of course, the standard lane's coming on in. Moham and Starry did a nice job to get up in this brush, and with the Renata, that ranged support into the Alistar, who's pretty useless early on. It should be a nice start to the laning phase here for OMG.
There's a nice ward placed there by the bot lane of NIP to at least spot Moham and Starry out, make sure that they didn't walk way too far forward and end up getting punished for it. So still, of course, the double range is going to get advantage in this push. They're going to control that brush after actually taking it down. ppgod actually going in again with the headbutt, but taking a ton of damage in response. There's already a couple summoner spells blown.
Yeah, I did not like how ppgod played that one. Dropped the Ignite onto Moham as well. Didn't get a lot of mileage out of that. I thought the first trade they actually played pretty well. They won, but of course OMG. Bot lane is double range, gonna get push. Is worth noting though, mirrored starts for the junglers, so Sejuani, Heng making his way down here, but Vi gonna work their way towards the top side to maybe help support Shanji on this Gwen.
And as you mentioned, you know, you talk about the late game assurance for OMG. For NIP, it's definitely Shanji on the Gwen in terms of doing late game damage, you know, using that 1,000 cuts and the needlework to burst through the front line a little bit. That's something that maybe the Jhin or the Galio can't do as well once we get later on in the game. So it makes sense to see Aki forcing his way towards his top laner that has been his teammate for a number of years at this point. You know, previously on OMG, who is their opponent right now on the Rift. There's right now just a ton of little trades going back and forth, but nothing too serious up there on the top side.
It just looks to be full clears early on. As I will say, the Gwen and Bessa matchup's not one I'm fully familiar with. It's something where, like, Ambessa, like, usually you want to push Gwen around early, but Ambessa, a lot of the strength comes from, you know, getting that level 6 point, so you can get the passive on your ult going, which is really big for, you know, having access to the Omni map and all the stats that Ambessa does get. So it looks like Hery's doing an alright job, though. He's keeping the wave here with Shanji. Pretty low mana, having a tough time getting this one all the way in. Meanwhile, Linfeng is going to be under threat.
Here comes Aki. Actually, Vault Breaker is going to connect, but Linfeng is too close to the tower to make any sort of threat afterwards. So just a trade of those Scuttlecraft. Nice little vision placed in the Raptor pit there as well by Heng will mean that he will get spotted out. likely heads back to base and resets altogether.
Oh, cute there from Linfeng. Valked forward in order to catch the Justice Punch. Did get the flash out of Doinby, who's going to do his best to clean up this wave. But Summoner Spell advantage in the mid lane here for Linfeng. Well played.
That's, again, the matchup that we were hoping could go the younger player's way against, again, a legend here in the LPL, a world champion, an LPL champion, and of course, just one of the reigning MVP as well. Currently, Linfeng up about 10 CS, which is not bad, all things considered, at this point in the game. Seems like going to be going more towards the tankier build than like a full AP. As another flash actually burned from Shanji. I'm surprised that he decided to use that Summoner Spell the way he did.
Zoned off the cannon minion as well, so well played from Hery. Shanji might actually have to head home right after TPing back. So a couple wins here from these OMG solo laners. We'll see if it means anything as we're spawning here shortly. At the moment, going to be Sejuani starting a very early dragon. Of course, range bot lane, keeping the push in against the Alistar. Should be the first Drake being taken, but curious to see if OMG decide to switch anything up to try and make sure these grubs go their way. Of course, once Hery gets back into lane on this Ambessa, we'll have a little bit of an edge against Gwen, as of course, Shanji no flash and was just pushed out behind on XP a little bit. Actually, it looks like they're going to pull off the swap, though. So they're going to send their bot lane top. They're going to use that to try and contest the grubs, whereas a good response here from NIP, bot lane base proactively walking mid to try and respond to wherever the bot lane at OMG shows.
And you see Doinby actually walking down to the bot lane as well, but you see he also just dinged level 6, which means the hero's entrance is available. Of course, not as high range as you know, you get when you hit level 16, but he'll be able to join a fight if there is any around the grubs. Looks like that's not going to be the case, though, as with Leave and ppgod in the mid lane, will be Aki all on his lonesome up here, at least for now, with Heng currently on his way towards the rapids.
I mean, if he can get two.
Starry's Bloom going to catch him out.
Oh, yeah, Heng actually not going to approach. So, well, good swaps here from NIP. Really like how they put their bot lane mid. Had a chance to respond to wherever the bot lane at OMG showed up. And, yeah, they're going to switch things up even further. Send the bot lane top, put Gwen into the Corki, which won't be bad for Shanji. Able to catch some CS. And a spot of the matchup where being down flash against level 6 Ambessa can sometimes be a little bit scary. So, really like how NIP have moved the map around. Feels like they're getting resources on the people that need it, and giving Gwen some safety. The punish, though, is that OMG is going to get this invade off on the red buff of NIP. So good response here from OMG.
Ooh, actually, it doesn't look like Aki knows that this is happening. Otherwise, maybe he does, actually. As sends Shanji down here to try to contest this. As 1,000 HP left on this red buff. Doinby going to be here as well. And now all of a sudden, Heng in a little bit of trouble here as Aki, thanks to the leash, is going to pick it up and actually forcing Heng to flash away after Doinby showed a little bit of threat with that Justice Punch.
Yeah, another swap coming in too. Doinby going to sack a few creeps mid, which crash, as both him and Shanji were helping out. But Shanji going to press R. Hery now in trouble.
Needlework comes
Good
out.
job.
Public execution not going to connect. Going to be matched up with that cease and desist. Hery going to fall in its first blood over towards Shanji.
Really nice juke from Aki. Used the Justice Punch to get out of the public execution once he saw where that was casted. Very clean coming out of the jungler of NIP.
That's that top side that's been together for so many years here, Cubby, and they're looking pretty good so far. And it was a decent lead over towards OMG just in terms of laning stats, but as soon as those level 6s were hit, all of a sudden NIP is starting to make some plays, and that's what they need to continue to do here in this game.
Yeah, I mean, that was clinical, too, from NIP. Like, what happened in that play? I mean, step one was force Heng to burn his flash to get out of the jungle. Guess what? Aki knows that Sejuani, even if that Sej is on bot side, going to be at a disadvantage, so able to go for that one confidently and flip the matchup between the Gwen and the Ambessa towards the Gwen's favor, who, of course, was down flash from the solid laning of Hery's. So, really like the answer here from NIP.
And so that's where this snowball has to start for Ninjas in Pyjamas, because right now, of course, the big carries are the ones who are picking up gold right for OMG. Linfeng up about 400 with that CS advantage. And Generate also picked up a plate in the mid lane just with that push that he's been able to get. And Starry, of course, quickly working his way there as well. When you combine that with someone like the Renata and with a strong front line in Heng and Hery, that can be proved to be a dangerous late game team composition. But so far, NIP have been able to keep themselves in the swing of things. And I'm interested to see how they utilize this next use of Aki's ultimate if they go towards the side lane, maybe allow Doinby to join them as well as part of that mid jungle that they picked very early on in the draft.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think the target's just to go find Sejuani again. Sejuani down flash. I know it's the tankiest member for OMG, but at least with a comp like this, someone down flash, very attackable. Especially at this time, I don't think Sej is tanky enough for what the game presents. That said, any focus towards this top side, like both Gwen and Ambessa, and they scale off of the resources that they have, right? So if you can deny one in the carry v carry matchup, could be a really big win. And for me, Gwen's just really important for NIP this game because that's your tank buster, especially with the build that we have Leave going for, where it looks to be a collector rush. It's Shanji gonna rush his way into Heng.
Try to bust through this tank potentially in the Sejuani, then retreating back towards the Blast Cone and where his jungler is in Aki to make sure that there's no further aggression to be had. Dragon up in less than a minute, as right now OMG's bottom lane are the one who have that priority, so would be a decent opportunity for them to go up in this count, and NIP know that as they're going to send ppgod towards the mid lane to try to gain some prio of their own.
Couple interesting moves there. NIP, their bot lane hovered early, looking for a play on Doinby, and then hovered down after, and now Doinby gonna have to get out as the bot lane at OMG make their way up here. Leave has been left in the bot side, doesn't have any TP to respond to an initial play. So NIP looking to maybe tickle and drag OMG around here a bit. See if Aki finishes this recall, though. He already snagged one. That could be it.
One.
Yeah,
That's
they're calling it.
That's all you needed. It gets
it's
you
Drake time.
The void
yeah.
Mice, and that was definitely a timer that OMG had control over on that top side. So very nicely done by NIP's jungler. He gets a quicker reset off and could maybe contest this Drake, as they definitely don't want to give up that second neutral objective.
Actually, I don't love this TP from Doinby. I think that if he actually TP'd mid, might have been able to catch that wave and this one in the bot lane. As of course, Leave did have to recall if he was staying out of the map after he was shoved in. That does, because of this, it does give OMG actually an okay window at least. Think about this dragon, but NIP, they could fight. Again, they're pretty strong here. Wherever Vi goes, Gallia's going to follow.
Yeah, immediately going to have ppgod pop that ultimate, but he's still about half HP, can look to potentially go in onto Starry. Instead finds the headbutt only onto Heng, and actually pushes him away over the wall. Here comes Doinby as well with that hero's entrance, and it will allow for NIP to pick up that first kill. Aki flashes after Heng. It's a third kill picked up in this game as Leave snipes him down with the fourth shot and opens up the curtain call for Moham. The third shot will connect. Will the fourth? Yes, sir! That's another kill, and it's 4, his favorite number, over to NIP.
NIP just completely take over this game as, I mean, it was looking too easy. The fact that OMG pulled that dragon and they threw so much into ppgod, who of course pressed the R, got out of the chains of corruption and tanked a lot to start off that fight. That fight before it even started looked grim for OMG, and can't do that against a team like NIP. Is taking a look. Look what ppgod eats here. As, okay, yeah, we're going to headbutt the ground. That's okay. But again, Chains of Corruption, that's a big cooldown not available for a skirmish. And Dragon is hitting both Heng and Starry. And then, look at that. The ult from Sejuani tanked. Aki able to buffer it. Then, you know, Gallia's ult comes down. Too many people caught out. Made it look way too easy there as OMG were just completely split off the initial engage. Really, no hope, no chance to fight that one. While I'm getting sniped out at the end. Nice bonus there for Leave. But it's really hard to see, like, before that play even starts, what kind of winning angle OMG have, just because NIP were able to respond to everything.
And that's what the power of this composition possesses, right? Once you get to this mid game, you send ppgod in with the Unbreakable Will, you throw Aki in there as well, and by the way, there comes a Galio on top of you with that hero's entrance. It knocked up Starry, basically bursted him down 100-0 after they put a decent amount of resources into allowing him to get strong here in this early game. Now just picking up that Rage Blade, didn't have it for that last fight, and it clearly showed as NIP able to take control of that game.
Is this going to be magic damage Varus? Because we're opening with Rage Blade, not Bork, and there's a lack of magic damage for OMG, so I think we're going to get a Nashira's variant, which actually does pretty good damage to frontline too, with the AP scalings and the Blight stack. So I actually like this from OMG. Didn't really talk about the lack of magic damage, but good adaptation, I think, coming out from Starry. This build actually scales really, really hard if you're able to pop those Blight stacks. So definitely something to look out for there. The build that's not always as common on Varus, but does a surprising amount of damage. Just a big key is making sure you proc those white stacks. That's where your AP scaling is going to go, is where I like when expect the Nashers to come out next.
Yeah, the AP Varus is one of those that you sometimes see in like those TikTok compilations of like funny moments of like one-shotting a Malphite or something like that. But actually is very strong if you just, all you got to do is press the R button. That automatically stacks up those blight stacks, and you land an empowered Q on top of him, and that could be a big chunk of a health bar gone, even from somebody like Doinby, who I think maybe was expecting on-hit AD variant of the Varus, because he went straight for a Sunfire, which is not normally the build that you go here on a Galio.
Yeah, of course, you know, being in the quirky, looking at this one, I think it's the right call from Doinby, but also a good call from Starry to change things up a bit. So, like game cat mouse seeing there, but unfortunately for OMG, still very far behind thanks to the first couple plays we saw from NIP, and they don't want to slow down Aki.
Oh yeah, here comes that Vi Galio once again, knocking up Linfeng. He's underneath between his two turrets, and it doesn't matter. He's still going to go down. Makes it the 5th kill in a row for NIP, as they're really taking advantage of the strength that they possess here in the mid game.
That was chained up really nicely. Linfeng opting to save his flash, and the way that NIP chained that, really no opportunity for Linfeng to get out once that first Justice Punch hit. Quick from NIP, as they're able to clean up and avoid the dive of the bot lane. Props to ppgod, who did base to threaten any potential dive that might come down from OMG. So we're seeing some good map play from NIP. I mean, even going back to that dragon play, I know we talked about how Doinby could have TP'd mid to get that wave, then walk bot. But by TPing directly bot, allowed for the Jhin to walk mid and then leave, ended up being a big part of that skirmish as well. So really like how NIP is playing the map. Feels like they're doing a nice job of just playing more waves than OMG at all times.
And, you know, maybe it's you know, I don't want to say glazing here, but you know, is that the Doinby effect too anyway, right? Where he's somebody who's able to micromanage his teammates a little bit, allow for everybody to be in the right positions at the right time, and again, regular season is where he has shined, especially here in 2025. So looks like we're seeing a little bit of that magic yet again.
Maybe he just has the whole team, you know, putting their face in a full thing of water 3 times a day. Maybe it just really wakes him up for game 1 of the day. Make sure they're ready to go.
It's late or early in the morning here on the East Coast, depending on how you say it. I was considering it.
Dude,
I really
you could have matched the timestamp before the broadcast started.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It wouldn't have worked because I stayed up all night instead of like waking up early. But
and we definitely can't afford the brand of water. That's for sure.
Definitely not. Hey, volunteer broadcast. You can support us here on Coffee if you if you want to as well. Link in the chat here. But 4,000 gold lead over to NIP as the 3rd dragon is going to spawn. It looks like they're going to opt instead towards picking up this Rift Herald up towards the top side, while Heng and OMG will get themselves that dragon most likely. I mean, the thing is here for OMG though, Cubby, still a late game focused composition for them, but they need to hold the line for quite a while at this point. But getting a Drake like this is a certain fun.
Yeah, it feels like a consolation prize, though. I like the Rift take this game from NIP. It's not just the fact they have 5 grubs. I just think that Rift really goes up in value. Like when you have a matchup like Galio versus Corki, it's really tough to break mid-outer. And one of the few things that can help you do that is actually Rift Herald at this point of the game. So I like the fact that NIP took the... they are the stronger team right now. That's a conscious choice to take that over just a Chemtech Dragon. I feel like that's the right one in this game.
So it looks like NIP not going to be playing for any Dragon Souls at the very least, which at least gives OMG like one less objective that they're going to have to fight over like earlier in the game. So that's at least a small win in their book. Actually also seeing a Hearthbound Axe picked up for Starry as we're taking a look at the Varus build. Looks like that might turn into something like a Wit's End or even a Kraken Slayer, depending on where we go.
What is going on down there? I was prepping for the Nashes, man. They have no magic damage. Actually, I thought it was coming. Yeah.
Let's see. If it does turn into a Wits, I mean, that is some magic damage as well, but you'd get that anyway with like kind of the on-hit build that you're going to be going. We'll continue to process this as the items go down, but might be a while because right now it's been all NIP. They're really controlling the map, really making it difficult for the carries on OMG to pick up any gold or any resources as they send the Rift Herald now in the mid lane to try to break open the screen.
Again, I really like this from NIP as they're going to get close to taking down the turret. Again, you're playing Galio and Corki. It's really tough to crack mid-outer, and that turret, cracking that when you have a comp like Vi, Galio, Alistar, you want to dog pile in. That does give you more space to operate and try and pull off the combo to start off the fight. So you can see NIP going to continue their siege. Meanwhile, OMG sending Linfeng to keep on hitting Joinby in the side lanes and do the best they can as this Corki getting close to the Miramona. And you can see Linfeng's been doing a nice job of getting his farm as the highest CS in the game. And might actually be looking to try for Joinby on Starry. OMG posturing towards the bot side. Yeah.
Down towards that dive, and now it gives another opportunity for NIP to try to reset here. Send somebody down here to try to prevent this from happening. You see ppgod and Leave making their way down. A teleport comes in as well. Looks like dive averted. And OMG still without a kill, even though it seems like they've had opportunities to go for plays, but seem a little bit hesitant to go for them.
Yeah, I mean, Galio is scary to dive, and Joinby TP'd back to have full health. He kind of sniffed that one coming. They also had a top wave they had to respond to, so Hery finds himself up there. But now Otacon on the map for everyone to respond to. Definitely going to be the GAs that pop out of this one, as we only have 5 kills in the game. Grapes?
Yep.
Kind of a little bit slow here, but still. I got to say, with NIP, this is where Baron spawns 5 minutes later. You have Otacon, still really strong point of the game for NIP with their draft, but we feel like they have to keep this game moving and make sure they stay on schedule, because the scaling of a Varus Corki can be scary.
Well, dive onto Moham could definitely help that. That's as another Hero's entrance comes through. That is Moham going down before he can even proc the bailout. Just so much crowd control locked onto that Renata Glass, meaning it's the 4v5 on the rest of the map for 25 seconds. Either Otacon could be a priority, or just stealing away some camps, getting control of the enemy jungle.
And you know what? All 3 winning plays for NIP, it's come off of this Vi Galio combo. It's not complicated, but they have been executing it. They've been chaining their CC, which is like really, you know, the point of skill expression that is real with this combo. I think they've been doing a really nice job of it between Aki and Joinby, and that pick going to secure them mid-outer and a lot of control over the bot outer as well, as NIP push their gold lead to almost 4.5k. And OMG, there's no way they can think about starting this Otacon. I feel like NIP has to wait. Otacon still does a lot of damage at this point of the game, so it should be an option. But OMG, it'd be really scary for them to even think about pulling this thing, and all focus is going to be down on this bot side with the dragon spawning here too.
It's another instance of Heng being down here, but probably not going to want to go for this dive, as ppgod and Aki are here. We also got our answer, by the way, on that second item. It's going to be a Terminus picked up. So a little bit extra defensiveness, as well as, you know, that on hit, obviously, and gives you some magic pen as well. So a little bit of that magic pen.
I will say, was doing some side monitor homework on potential builds with Varus. Riftmaker was built second by Pays in a recent game. I know that's a common appearance in the AP Varus build. So again, still gonna keep our eyes out to see if we have a Nashor's Tooth or a Riftmaker make an appearance in the inventory of Starry, as of course magic damage a bit lacking on OMG's side, and Varus someone with the white stacks that can supply a surprising amount of it.
Yeah, with so much base damage, so much scaling in both AD and AP, like you can almost ultimate bravery on this guy, and it will work most of the time. As we see now, this dragon being started up by NIP. Heng trying to prove a stop to it, as it actually gets sent back out at 4,000 HP with Aki over the pit. Poke coming out here nicely from OMG. See if they want to fully commit. It looks like ppgod going to be the one to start it. A 3-man pull onto OMG. The hero's entrance going to force Linfeng to flash away, but no, so far no kills locked down just yet. And Shanji's very low, and that's a shutdown picked up towards Starry. Linfeng gets taunted up, but won't have enough damage followed up by NIP. Now Leave could suddenly be in a precarious spot. Heng flashes in onto ppgod, who no longer has his ultimate, and it will be just 1 kill going over towards OMG, but they could be looking for more. Teleport comes in. Going to be Linfeng rejoining the party at full HP. He does a lot of damage under his belt. ppgod does not go down just yet, and Leave actually takes down Moham. But here comes the Valk. Can Linfeng do it? Can he do enough in this fight? He gets shut down as Aki just dies right on top of him. Leave is still alive. He flashes underneath his own turret. This is a double kill already for the Jin. Hery! Hery will fall. It's a triple kill for Leave as he saves the fight for an IP.
OMG were low, they flipped it, they get punished. Linfeng is focused directly, and that was a play that looked okay. They won the initial skirmish, up 1. They absorbed the Vi Galio ult really well. That was the first time that we haven't really seen the hero's entrance completely synced up with Aki. But at the end, it just doesn't matter, because the re-engage from Aki, it immediately found Linfeng, and Moham kind of threw his life away early, so no bailout available for Linfeng or anyone else on OMG. NIP win the fight. Going to take this Otacon, get the GA buffs, and continue the cruise in this game.
And I feel like that was the breaking point in this game.
Yeah.
That was where NIP
too.
maybe had a little bit of an opening there for OMG to take advantage of. I mean, gave away a kill early. A teleport came in from Linfeng.
It was a good start.
At those 2 items, I mean, it looked good. But it was the playmaking from Aki to keep his AD carry alive and leave really going off towards the back end of this game.
I mean, this from ppgod is great, but the hero's entrance is just that hair late. So the hostile takeover gets in, buys a lot of space, and this ult from Hery was fantastic. Found Shanji, really reestablished the lines for OMG in this fight. Linfeng forces out Doinby. He's going to base and TP back, but really, like this re-engage from Heng and Hery, not warranted. They take a lot of chip damage from leave, which is going to hurt them in the second re-engage. And then, like, Moham just kind of throws his life away, and no one's really able to protect Linfeng.
Just underestimates the damage from leave. Maybe even didn't see him on the map.
Linfeng Wing in there doesn't help either. So he's not fully guilty in that. Yeah.
I mean, I was surprised that Heng, like, flashed onto, like, the tank instead of going towards leave, potentially.
Yep.
Some unfortunate shenanigans there from Hery at the very end of things, and that leaves very good game state here for NIP as they start this Baron up with the GAs in hand.
For sure, a bit of a bummer to see Linfeng TP in and then Velk into a ppgod combo like that. Anyway, Baron almost being taken. Heng.
Looks like Heng gonna try to get in there. It got to 48 HP. Almost a steal for the OMG jungler. But Aki just has those diamond hands. He held strong, and he smites away that Baron Nashor. Here comes Doinby, lands a 3-man taunt. Starry has the stopwatch and will go golden, but he suddenly finds himself in the midst of 4 members of Ninjas in Pyjamas. It's another 4 kills picked up for them, as they are looking to close this game out sooner rather than later, Cubby.
I just went straight to Baron after the reset, after Chemtech, and again, OMG, they're behind. They can't fight. That angle from Doinby on the back half to find the hero's entrance, and that angle to wrap up the fight. Pretty resounding win from NIP.
Some opportunities maybe for OMG to take advantage of, but they just fell short every single time. NIP playing the margins and winning outright. They get that mid lane inhibitor with that Baron buff, should be able to turn their attention towards the top side. Not an end angle just yet, as the death timers are still very low, but you have to feel like OMG already starting to go back to the drawing board here for game 2, as now Moham gets taunted up here by Doinby. Shanji throws out the first part of the ultimate. It's going to be up in 3 seconds. Can the poke from OMG be enough? Aki dashes back in, not able to find a target. Curtain Call going to be forcing OMG back as they will claim that second inhibitor in the top lane.
That's probably it for NIP. They're just going to reset and go find the rest. And yeah, I mean, going back through the pace of this game, early on, we had both Linfeng and Hery got flashes out of their opposing solo laners. That's a pretty good start. But again, I think the big difference just the map rotations, and then really Aki versus Heng for me was the big difference in this one. Aki just had a fantastic game. Ends up winning the smite fight. Heng actually did a really nice job actually just getting into the pit to give himself a chance. Was quite close, but not able to get it. And then the back half, Doinby, great hero's entrance, great angle in to really make sure that OMG had no chance to play the back half of this fight.
And we missed the start of that, but Shanji just one-shot Linfeng with the 3rd proc of that needlework before he was able to do anything. So that was your star mid laner that is going to have to do some work against NIP if OMG wanted to have a chance here in this game. Just hadn't really bounced in. The ball hasn't bounced on in their favor, as they're now with the Baron buff for another 40 seconds, looking to crack up in the final of these inner turrets and potentially inhibitor turrets as well, with the teleport coming in from Doinby to make it 4 members on this bottom side. Yeah,
unfortunately for Linfeng, again, this matchup, you are able to farm up and scale, but caught out by the Blind Galio once in the side lane, and then I think played the last 2 fights pretty poorly. The Valk into the combo from Alistar is kind of a death sentence there for OMG in that last fight. Now getting caught as we have the engage. ppgod.
Looks like Hery's going to be the primary target. Again, the ultimate doesn't connect, and so Leave will be able to pick up yet another kill for himself. Shanji dashing forward very aggressively, knowing that it's very hard to take down a level 16 Gwen who has that ultimate and the flash. Starry already plans a flash underneath his own Nexus turret, but Shanji. It won't be him living for long. Linfeng picks up 1, but they're underneath the Nexus turrets right now. Doinby goes golden as well. It's like right now, But neny might be playing with their food a little bit. Heng dashing in to try to pick up something, but the rest of his team is headed right back to the fountain where they will remain for the end of this game. Ninjas in Pyjamas, a dominant start here for Group C, and they will run away with this one in 29 minutes.
That's what you wanted to see out of Ninjas in Pyjamas, again, playing with direction. We set this one up saying that Doinby teams, they always seem to have this level of cohesion and playmaking that Doinby just brings to any roster that he plays with. And that Flying Galio has played really, really well as they were able to find a really big fight around early grubs, and they turned that into a lot on the map, Grapes.
And I want to give a shout out to the top side for Ninjas in Pyjamas as well.
Yeah.
I mean, Doinby obviously facilitating, but it was Aki on the Vi, as you mentioned, and then Shanji having actually a very solid game on that Gwen. He survived a little bit of that early game pressure and was able to take full advantage of that late game power of the Gwen, right? And so against their former team, it was Aki and Shanji taking that first one. And so they go up to 1-0 in the group. Again, a result that we potentially expected coming in, but in these best of one formats, one little thing goes wrong and all of a sudden you could be in a pretty bad situation. So good job for neny by starting things off on the right foot.
Yeah, no, for me with neny, of course we always talk so much about Doinby and that direction. I think that the way that he plays the map and hovers is always really strong, but good to see, like, if you're an neny fan, I think really nice to see some good moments there from ppgod on the Alistar, and also Aki for me was the MVP of that map. Really played well in that first game. I feel like just that first play where, Sejuani is trying to respond by taking the bot side after Grubs, goes in, defends with Doinby, pushes Sej out, and then immediately finds a winning kill for Gwen, like flips that matchup on its head. And then what we saw the rest of the game from Aki, just that direction playing with Doinby was really, really sound. So good to see from Aki and ppgod actually doing some good work together and showing some good moments there if you're an neny fan.
And you might say, like, oh, it's just the noob stomp, press R on all your champions buttons and your team comp works, but knowing when to find those engages and when to look for fights like that takes a little bit of decision making that has to be praised here for neny. You mentioned that they were down a little bit at the start of the game, but as soon as they found the angles that they wanted, they were able to pounce on it, take advantage of it, and they found wins in every single one of the engages that they went for. As for OMG, definitely back to the drawing board a little bit. This was a team that excited a lot of us going into at the end of Split 1. After that, they took 2 series all the way to 5 games. They proved to be competitive against a lot of the teams in the LPL, but not this time against neny.
Yeah, a bit of a roughie there on the flip side from Heng and Moham. I still feel like with Moham, when he's not able to engage, just doesn't feel like the same player. Again, this is a player that for me, I know that a lot of people tend to focus on the lows we've seen from Moham early in his career, given that those happened on a big stage, but he also found himself in that position with D+ for a reason. We have seen some high highs, especially when he's on engagers. I mean, his rel should be feared in the league, truly. But yeah, again, that really felt like he didn't have an impact on the Renata that game. It just found himself in some really poor positions and really didn't do much. So bit of a bummer. Definitely some signs of growth that we're still looking for from OMG that they can hopefully hit throughout the rest of the day today.
And still more opportunities to pick up wins. Obviously, the matchup against Top on the horizon for them as well, but actually first up for them after they get 1 game off is a matchup against FPX, which will be the 3rd game of the day as we go through some of the highlights here. That's the thing about these group stages, Cubby, where you play the full round robin in one day. You gotta fully reset, especially after getting stomped the way that they did.
And again, keep in mind OMG, they're a pool 3 team. We expect them to get out, and I mean either 3rd or 4th. Probably 3rd is where most of us had them. So it is important that they're able to at least put up more of a contest against Top Esports and FPX later on in the day, but we'll see.
Go through a couple of these highlights as well. I mean, I feel like everybody really on Ninjas in Pyjamas played really well. And again, you could say it's because of the leadership of somebody like Doinby, but I think that's discrediting some of the solid performances we saw across the rest of the board. Now, this was the one opportunity in the game where we thought OMG might have had a bit of a chance, but just the slightest bit of outplays, I think, from Aki and Leave specifically in the back half of this.
I mean, that was a nice high-style takeover from Moham and a really good ult from Hery to really reestablish the lines of that fight. But then Linfeng, after the TP back in, pretty unwarranted Valkyrie into ppgod, who does do a nice job of at least playing on the edge of this fight. And yeah, I mean, finds his opportunity right there when Linfeng uses W to try and clean up ppgod. ppgod gets the combo off, and trading himself for Corki at that point of the fight is well worth it.
Yeah, I mean, just really nicely played by ppgod to cancel, some of that engaging here from Linfeng as well. Pop in the headbutt pull as soon as the Valkyrie went forward. But yeah, I mean, that seemed like the fight that OMG could have maybe done something with, and maybe that's where their scaling started to take over. But then it's the classic: get the Otacon, get the Baron, and then eventually win the game.
Yeah, they snowballed it pretty quickly. So props to neny. The way they put this map away and some of the stuff that we're seeing from them on the map, did really like some of those rotations to play around the grubs. I think it really opened up that opportunity around that dragon that OMG was trying to take. I believe it was the second dragon that ended up being contested at neny flip. That is really where neny got off to the races, and some of the fundamentals that we have seen them and Zonyaby teams do so well really paid off in that map against OMG.
Await our player of the game graphic as well. I feel like, again, you go towards anybody here because of how dominant and how clean that game was played by neny. Taking a look at what they have next up, they get a little bit of an extended break, and then I think the most exciting, most anticipated matchup of the day will come in game number 4 when they go up against Top Esports. That'll be an exciting one that we will continue to preview throughout the beginning of the day. It's Leave coming away with the player of the game for this one. Definitely justified, had some really nice plays, especially around that dragon fight, picking up that triple kill that eventually really turned the game around.
Leaf had a nice one. Shout out to the Celerity and Gathering Storm, the Blue Tree Enjoyer. Very good on Jin. Get some bonus mileage out of that, given his kit. But yeah, shout out. I thought Leaf had a good one. For me, Aki was really the one that dictated and ran the map, but we did have some nice moments from Leaf, and I was pretty accurate with those snipes as well. So shout out to Leaf. And we got question mark pings by Graves. So what's that for?
We'll get some explanation. Okay.
Producer Kai has some explaining to do.
He said it was a mistake. So okay, well.
Yeah, I mean, he's getting pretty liberal. He's getting pretty liberal with those question mark pings. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah. Well, that's gonna do it for our coverage of the first game of the day. However, we're gonna take a short break and come right back as we introduce our next 2 teams from Group C. Stay tuned for FPX versus Top Esports after this. Oh, hold on. Before I do that, one last thing. We have to do a little ad read here as well. This is important. We are extremely grateful to our Coffee and YouTube subscribers who help level up the show. A lot of the initial payments have gone into upgrading the broadcast, but a huge bulk of it also pays the on-air talent and content creators. Make sure to subscribe to our Coffee, which is linked in the chat, to unlock perks like early access to content and the ability to ask interview questions for our unique content interviews, which will be coming rather shortly here in split number 2. That's it here for game 1. We'll see you after this break for FPX versus Top.